The auditorium was packed. 2,000 seats, everyone filled with families holding flowers and cameras, except for 5 seats in the reserved section, the ones with my family's names printed on small white cards. Those stayed empty while confetti cannons fired and names echoed through speakers. My mother texted me a photo instead. Her and Dad at my brother's backyard barbecue holding beer bottles and laughing. "Wish we could be there," the caption read. I stared at that photo for exactly 10 seconds. Then I opened my laptop and began erasing them from my life, one document at a time. By the time they realized what I'd done, it was already too late. I learned early that love in the Martinez family operated on a sliding scale. At the top was my older brother, Daniel. 6'2", charming, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and make everyone feel like they'd been waiting for him. Then came my younger sister, Sophie, Daddy's little girl with big brown eyes and a talent for getting exactly what she wanted. And then there was me, Catalina, the middle child, the practical one, the one who didn't need as much attention because I had it figured out. Our house in Phoenix was a shrine to Daniel's achievements. High school football trophies lined the mantel. His college acceptance letter to Arizona State was framed in the hallway. Even his participation ribbons from elementary school track were preserved in a scrapbook my mother kept on the coffee table like it was the family Bible. Sophie's artwork covered the refrigerator, layered so thick you couldn't see the white underneath. Her dance recital programs were saved in a special drawer. When she made the middle school volleyball team, my parents threw a dinner party. My accomplishments lived in a manila folder in my bedroom closet. When I was 14, I won a regional poetry competition. First place out of 300 entries. The prize was a scholarship to a summer writing workshop and a feature in the local paper. I brought the certificate home, hands shaking with pride, and found my parents in the living room watching Daniel's football game on TV. "Mom, Dad, look. Not now, Kat," my father said without looking up. "Daniel's about to score." I stood there for 3 minutes, certificate crinkling in my grip, watching them cheer for a touchdown. When the commercial break came, my mother finally glanced over. "That's nice, sweetie. Put it on the counter. I'll look at it later." She never did. I learned to stop interrupting game nights, dance recitals, barbecues, any moment that belonged to Daniel or Sophie. I learned that my achievements were background noise, pleasant, sure, but not worth pausing the main event. By the time I got to high school, I'd perfected invisibility. I joined the debate team, the honor society, the academic decathlon. I volunteered at the library on weekends. I maintained a 4.2 GPA while working part-time at a coffee shop to save for college. My parents praised me occasionally. "Catalina's so independent," they'd tell relatives. "She doesn't need us hovering over her like some kids do." Translation: you're easy to forget. Senior year, I applied to 14 colleges. I wrote essays late into the night, revised them until my eyes burned, submitted applications with the kind of desperate hope that feels embarrassing in hindsight. When the acceptance letters started arriving, I opened them alone in my room. UCLA, accepted, partial scholarship. UC Berkeley, accepted, full ride, Stanford, waitlisted, then accepted with merit scholarship. I chose Berkeley. For the academics, yes, but also for the distance. 400 miles from Phoenix. Far enough that impromptu visits would be impossible. Close enough that I couldn't be accused of running away. The day I told my parents, they were in the backyard setting up for one of Daniel's famous summer kickbacks, the kind where 50 people showed up and my mother spent 3 days preparing. "Berkeley?" My father looked up from the grill. "That's expensive." "I got a full scholarship plus a research grant." "Oh." He nodded slowly. "That's good, real good, Kat." "We're proud of you," my mother added, carrying a tray of burgers past me. "Sophie, honey, can you grab the buns from the kitchen?" And that was it. No celebration dinner, no phone calls to relatives, just a nod and a distracted "proud of you" before they went back to preparing someone else's party. I packed my bags 3 weeks later. They drove me to Berkeley on a Tuesday afternoon, helped me carry boxes up 3 flights of stairs to my dorm, and left before dinner. "Text us when you're settled," Mom said, already halfway to the car. I texted them that night, "All moved in. Room is great. Thanks for the help." My mother responded 6 hours later. "Glad to hear it, sweetie. Dad and I are exhausted, lol. That was the last time we had a real conversation for months. College became my sanctuary. At Berkeley, no one knew I was the forgettable middle child. I was just Catalina, pre med student, research assistant, someone building a future brick by brick. I threw myself into academics with the kind of intensity that worried my roommate. Do you ever relax? She asked one night, finding me at my desk at 2 a.m., surrounded by organic chemistry notes. This is relaxing, I said, and I meant it. Because studying meant I didn't have to think about the family group chat, where photos of Daniel's promotion and Sophie's volleyball tournaments circulated like currency. I muted the chat sophomore year. No one noticed. I called home dutifully, once a month, usually on Sunday afternoons when I knew they'd be busy. The conversations followed a script. How's school? Good, really busy. That's great, honey. Your brother just bought a house. That's great. Sophie made varsity. That's great. We miss you. Miss you too. The calls lasted 7 minutes on average. I timed them once. My junior year, I joined Dr. Reyes's research lab studying autoimmune disorders. The work was grueling. Hours of pipetting, data analysis, failed experiments that sent us back to square one. But Dr. Reyes saw me. Really saw me. You have a gift for this, she said one evening, reviewing my latest analysis. You see patterns other people miss. I just pay attention, I said. Exactly. She looked up, her eyes serious. In science, that's everything. That validation, small, earned, real, meant more than 1,000 distracted, proud of yous from my parents. By senior year, I'd co-authored 2 papers and secured early acceptance to Berkeley's medical school. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning. Congratulations, Miss Martinez. We are pleased to offer you admission. I read it 3 times, alone in the library, tears streaming down my face. Then I called home. My mother answered on the 4th ring, slightly breathless. Kat, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I got into med school. Oh, a pause. That's wonderful, sweetie. Berkeley, right? Yeah. We're so proud. Listen, can I call you back? Sophie's got a tournament this weekend and I'm trying to coordinate carpool. Sure, no problem. She called back 4 days later. Sorry, things have been crazy, but seriously, Kat, med school, that's huge. Thanks, Mom. We'll have to celebrate when you come home for the summer. I didn't go home that summer. I took a research position instead, staying in Berkeley while my family texted photos of beach trips and barbecues I wasn't invited to. Not because they excluded me on purpose, just because they forgot to include me. There's a special kind of pain in being forgotten. It's not the sharp sting of rejection. It's the slow, constant ache of realizing you've been background noise so long. Even you've started to fade. The graduation invitation arrived in January of my final year. Heavy cream cardstock with gold embossing. The University of California, Berkeley cordially invites you to commence. I held it for a long time, running my thumb over my name printed in elegant script. Catalina Sofia Martinez, Bachelor of Science, Molecular and Cell Biology, honors. I'd earned this, 4 years of all-nighters, sacrifice social life, relentless focus. I'd earned the right to walk across that stage and hear my name called while people who loved me cheered. I mailed invitations to my family with a handwritten note. May 14th, 2 p.m. Would mean the world if you could be there. Kat, my mother, called 2 days later. We got the invitation. It's beautiful. So you'll come? Of course, we wouldn't miss it. I'll book the hotel right now. Relief flooded through me, warm and childish. Really? Really? It's your graduation, Kat. We'll all be there. For the first time in 4 years, I let myself hope. Over the next 3 months, I reminded them gently but consistently. I texted the date, I sent them the schedule, I forwarded hotel recommendations and parking information. Each time, they responded positively. Got it. Marked on the calendar, so excited. 2 weeks before graduation, Daniel posted on social media, Spring BBQ Bash, May 14th, 1 to 6 p.m. Bring your appetites. My stomach dropped. I called my mother immediately. Mom, did you see Daniel's post? What post? He's having a barbecue on May 14th. Oh, a long pause. Oh no, you forgot. No, honey, we didn't forget. Daniel planned this months ago, and everyone's already committed, and he's been so stressed with the new house. I sent you the invitation in January. I know, and we feel terrible, but maybe we can do both. The barbecue is only until 6, so if we leave early, my ceremony starts at 2. Another pause. What if we FaceTime you? That way we can still see. Mom, my voice cracked. I'm asking you to be there, in person, for one day. We will, sweetie. We'll figure something out, I promise. She didn't sound convincing. The week before graduation, I called again and again. Each time the excuses shifted. We're still figuring out the logistics. Daniel really needs us there. Sophie's nervous about meeting his girlfriend's parents. It's complicated, Kat. 2 days before, I sent one final text. Please, just tell me if you're coming or not. My mother responded, we're going to try our best. That's when I knew. Graduation day dawned clear and beautiful. California spring at its finest. Blue sky, soft breeze, the Berkeley campus, golden with afternoon light. I woke up at dawn, too nervous to sleep, and spent an hour getting ready. Cap, gown, honor cords arranged perfectly. I looked at myself in the mirror. 4 years of work condensed into this moment. I looked proud and so alone. The ceremony started at 2 p.m. I arrived an hour early, weaving through crowds of families taking photos, graduates hugging friends, the air electric with celebration. The reserved seating section had cards marking each graduate's family allocation. I found mine, 5 seats, their names printed neatly. Martinez Family. I sat in the graduate section and watched those seats stay empty as the auditorium filled. Around me, families crowded in, parents, grandparents, siblings, cousins, everyone holding flowers and cameras and homemade signs. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. It was a photo, her and my father in Daniel's backyard, beers in hand, laughing in the sunshine. Behind them, I could see Sophie and a crowd of people at picnic tables. The caption, wish we could be there, so proud of you. I stared at that photo until my vision blurred. They were having a party, right now. While I sat in an auditorium 400 miles away, surrounded by 2,000 people, completely alone. The ceremony began. Names were called in alphabetical order, each one met with cheers and applause. I watched graduate after graduate walk across the stage to the sound of their families screaming their names, whistling, crying with pride. When they called, Catalina Sofia Martinez, I walked across that stage in complete silence. No cheers, no applause beyond the polite clapping of strangers. I shook the dean's hand, accepted my diploma, and smiled for the official photographer. The flash went off, capturing what I'm sure looked like a perfectly happy moment. I've never looked at that photo. After the ceremony, graduates flooded into the courtyard for the reception. Everywhere I looked, families clustered together, taking photos, exchanging flowers, celebrating. I stood alone near the edge, holding my diploma, watching. A woman approached me, someone's grandmother. Honey, are you all right? I'm fine, I said automatically. Where's your family? They couldn't make it. Her face crumpled with sympathy. Oh, sweetheart. It's fine, really. I forced a smile. Congratulations to your granddaughter. I left before she could say anything else. I walked back to my apartment through campus, still in my cap and gown, carrying my diploma like a shield. People congratulated me as I passed. I thanked them mechanically. When I got home, I sat on my bed and looked at my phone. 15 texts in the family group chat, photos from the barbecue, Daniel at the grill, Sophie playing cornhole, my parents laughing with neighbors. One text from my mother sent just to me. How did it go? I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and began searching. How to remove parents from the emergency contacts, how to change beneficiary information, how to update medical proxy. I didn't do it out of rage. That's what people don't understand. I wasn't angry. I was done. There's a difference. That night, still in my graduation gown, I created a spreadsheet. Every document, account, form, and institution that listed my parents' names. It was longer than I expected. Medical, primary care, physician emergency contact, dental records, vision insurance, health insurance beneficiary, hospital proxy directive, financial, bank account, joint from age 16, credit card, emergency contact, student loan cosigner, documentation, scholarship committee, family info academic, university emergency contact, medical school enrollment, parent information, research grant paperwork, professional references, legal, apartment lease, emergency contact, car insurance, voter registration, FAFSA for financial aid, personal, email account recovery, phone plan, social media emergency legacy contact, 23 separate places where their names were tied to mine. I spent the next week methodically updating every single one. The bank first. I closed a joint account I'd had since high school and opened a new one solo. The representative asked if I wanted to list a secondary account holder. No, I said, and just me. Medical proxy was next. I called my doctor's office and requested new paperwork. I need to change my emergency contact and medical decision maker. Sure thing. Who should we list instead? I paused, then gave them Dr. Reyes's information. My research. Advisor, the person who'd actually shown up for me. Insurance beneficiaries. I changed them to a trust I established for medical school debt. If something happened to me, the money would go toward education, not to parents who couldn't be bothered to watch me graduate. The university required a notarized form. I filled it out in the student services office, removing them from every drop-down menu and emergency contact field. The clerk processing it looked up. You sure about this? Usually students list parents. I'm sure. Email recovery questions. I changed every answer to things they wouldn't know. My favorite professor's name, the title of my thesis, the street where my lab was located, information from a life they'd never been part of. By day 5, I was down to the last few items. Each change felt like cutting a thread. Not painful, just necessary, like removing stitches from a wound that had already healed. The hardest one was medical school. Their information was listed on multiple forms: financial, emergency, family contact. I called the admissions office. I need to update my enrollment paperwork. Sure. What needs changing? All family contact information. I need it removed entirely. A pause. Removed? You need to list someone for emergencies. I'll list a friend, but my parents' information needs to come off every document. May I ask why? They're not involved in my education. I'm funding it myself. They shouldn't be on anything. The woman's voice softened. I understand. We'll update everything. Should take about a week. Thank you. When I hung up, I felt lighter. The final step was the apartment. I lived alone but had listed them as emergency contacts per the lease requirement. I called the property manager. I need to update my emergency contact information. No problem. Who should we call instead? I gave him my roommate from sophomore year, someone I trusted, someone who'd actually answer if I needed a help. Got it. Old contacts are removed from the system. Removed from the system. The phrase echoed in my head. That's exactly what I was doing. Removing them from the system of my life. By the end of week 2, it was done. Every document scrubbed clean. Their names existed nowhere in my present or future. They were archived. Part of my past, but no longer part of my path forward. I didn't tell them what I'd done. I just stopped responding to the group chat, stopped answering their occasional calls, went quiet in the way they'd taught me to be. For 3 weeks, they didn't notice. The first crack came from an unexpected place. My mother called at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, her voice high and strained. Kat, I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy. I didn't elaborate. Listen, I need to update our health insurance. And they're asking for your information. They said you're not listed on our family plan anymore? I'm not. I got my own plan through the university. When did you do that? 3 weeks ago. You didn't tell us. You didn't ask. A pause. Kat, what's going on? Nothing. I'm just handling my own things now. But you're still on our car insurance, right? That doesn't change until... I called them last week. I'm on my own policy now. You what, Kat? That's more expensive? I'm aware. I'm covering it. Her voice shifted, worry creeping in. Why are you doing this? Because I'm 22 years old, Mom. I'm in medical school. I should be handling my own affairs. But we're your parents. Are you? Then the words came out colder than I intended. Because parents show up. And you didn't. Silence. A kid. I have to go. I have studying to do. I hung up before she could respond. The second crack came 2 days later. My father called, which was rare. He usually let my mother handle the kids' stuff. Catalina, your mother's upset. Okay. She said you've been removing us from things, insurance, accounts. I'm an adult. I'm managing my own life. We're not trying to control you. I didn't say you were. Then why cut us out? The question hung in the air. I could hear the genuine confusion in his voice, and it made something inside me crack, not with anger, with exhaustion. Dad, do you remember my graduation? Of course. Last month, right? May 14th. Right. Where were you? Silence. Long enough that I knew he understood. Kat, we explained that Daniel's party was more important than watching your daughter graduate with honors after 4 years of working her ass off. That's not fair. You're right, it's not fair. None of it was fair, but it's done now. I took a breath. I'm not angry, Dad. I'm just done waiting for you to show up. So I'm removing you from places where it looks like you're involved because you're not. You haven't been. We love you. I know you do, in your way. But love without presence is just a word. I ended the call. The real panic started 3 days later. My mother called from an unknown number. I'd started sending their regular numbers to voicemail. Her voice was frantic. Catalina, we got a letter from your medical school. Okay. It says we're not listed as contacts anymore. Not emergency, not financial, nothing. It says if we have questions, we need to contact you directly because we're not authorized to receive information about your enrollment. That's correct. Why would you do that? Because you're not financially contributing and you're not involved in my education. There's no reason for you to be listed. We're your parents. Her voice broke. What if something happens to you? What if you get hurt and we can't? Dr. Reyes is listed. She'll handle it. Who the hell is Dr. Reyes? Someone who shows up. My mother made a sound between a gasp and a sob. Kat, please, we made a mistake. One mistake. It wasn't one mistake, Mom. My voice stayed calm, almost gentle. It was a lifetime of them. Small ones that added up. And I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing it because I need to build a life where I'm not waiting for people who are never going to prioritize me. We do prioritize you. You chose a barbecue over my graduation. We said we were sorry. You didn't, actually. You said you felt bad. That's different. Silence. Can we talk about this? In person? Maybe someday, but not right now. Kat, I have to go, Mom. Take care of yourself. I hung up and blocked the number. The messages came in waves after that. Voicemails I didn't listen to. Texts I didn't read. Even Daniel reached out. Mom's really upset. What's going on? I responded once. Ask her about my graduation. He didn't reply. Sophie sent a message 2 weeks later. I don't understand what happened, but I miss you. That one hurt. Sophie wasn't the problem. She was just the youngest, the one who got attention because that's what youngest children get. But she was part of the ecosystem that had made me invisible. I responded, I miss you too. But I need space right now. From everyone, especially from everyone. The truth was, removing them from my documents was just the visible part. The real work was internal. Learning to stop seeking validation from people who'd never learned to give it. Learning that my worth wasn't measured in whether they showed up, but in what I'd built despite them not showing up. Medical school started in August. I threw myself into anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, the relentless pace of first year. My classmates became my family. Study groups, late-night coffee runs, the shared exhaustion of people chasing the same impossible dream. Dr. Reyes checked in monthly. How are you holding up? Good. Really good, actually. And your family? Still estranged. She nodded. It's hard. It's harder watching people choose you last over and over. I paused. This way, at least I know where I stand. Which is? On my own, but solid. She smiled. Solid is good. 3 months into school, I got an email from the university. Subject, emergency contact update confirmation. They'd finalized the changes. My parents' names were officially removed from every system. I stared at that email for a long time, waiting to feel something. Regret, maybe, or second thoughts. I felt relieved. It was Christmas Eve when they showed up. I was in my apartment studying for finals, bundled in sweats with coffee going cold on the desk. The knock on the door was soft, tentative. I looked through the peephole. My mother stood there alone, holding a small wrapped box. I almost didn't open the door, but something, curiosity maybe, or exhaustion, made me turn the lock. She looked older, tired, her eyes red rimmed. "Hi, baby," she said quietly. "Mom, can I come in?" I stepped aside. She entered slowly, looking around at the small apartment like she was seeing it for the first time. She was. I'd never invited them here. "Coffee?" I asked, more out of habit than hospitality. "Sure." I poured 2 cups. We sat at the small table, the silence heavy. "I've been calling," she said finally. "I know. You haven't answered." "No." She wrapped her hands around the mug. "Your father wanted to come, but I thought maybe it should just be me." I didn't respond. "Kat, I need you to understand. We never meant to hurt you. We got comfortable. You were always so independent, so capable. We thought you didn't need us the way Daniel and Sophie did." "Need and want are different things, Mom. I know that now." "Do you?" I leaned forward. "Because here's the thing. I spent my entire life watching you show up for them. Every game, every recital, every minor milestone. And I celebrated with you. I cheered for them. I never asked you to choose me over them." "I know. I just asked you to choose me too, once. For one day, and you couldn't do it." Her eyes filled with tears. "We made a terrible mistake. You made a choice. There's a difference. We chose wrong. You chose what was comfortable. Daniel's party was full of people you know, doing things you enjoy. My graduation was formal, serious, full of strangers. It was easier to skip." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "But here's what you don't understand." I continued, my voice steady. "I don't need an apology. I don't need you to promise you'll do better. I needed you then, and you weren't there. So I learned to not need you at all. We want to be in your life." "Why?" The question clearly startled her. "Because you're our daughter." "Am I? Or am I just a box you check so you can tell people you have 3 kids? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Mom." My voice rose for the first time. "It's not fair that I worked 2 jobs to pay for college while Daniel got a free ride. It's not fair that Sophie's middle school volleyball games got more attention than my college graduation. It's not fair that I've spent 22 years being invisible in my own family." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry. I know you are. But sorry doesn't change the fact that when I needed you most, you picked a barbecue. And when I removed you from my life, it took you 3 weeks to even notice." She sobbed openly now. "What can I do? How do I fix this?" I looked at her, really looked. This woman who raised me, who fed me and clothed me and signed permission slips, who loved me, I think, in the abstract way you love all your children, but who never saw me as someone who needed to be chosen. "I don't know if you can fix it," I said quietly. "I don't know if I want you to. Please." "Mom." I reached across the table, touching her hand briefly. "I need you to understand something. I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing this to protect me. I spent my whole life waiting to matter to you, and I can't do it anymore. It's killing me." She gripped my hand. "You matter. You always mattered." "Then why didn't you show up?" She had no answer. We sat in silence for a long time. Eventually, she stood, leaving the wrap box on the table. "Merry Christmas, Kat." "Merry Christmas, Mom." She paused at the door. "I love you. I know that doesn't feel like enough right now, but I do." "I love you too," I said, and I meant it, but love without action is just sentiment. After she left, I opened the box. Inside was a framed photo. Me at my high school graduation, smiling in my cap and gown. A graduation they had actually attended. On the back, in my mother's handwriting, "We should have been there. I'm sorry we made you feel invisible." "Mom." I placed it on my desk next to my Berkeley diploma. 2 graduations. Only one they'd witnessed. It's been a year since that Christmas. Ma, my parents and I talk occasionally. Surface level conversations about school and weather. They ask about my classes. I answer briefly. They don't push, and I don't invite. Daniel got married last summer. They sent me an invitation. I sent a gift, but didn't attend. When my mother called, hurt in her voice. I simply said, I have exams. I can't make it. It was true, but it was also a choice. Sophie started college in the fall. She calls me sometimes asking about classes and dorm life. Those conversations are easier. She wasn't the architect of my invisibility, just a beneficiary of it. I help her with study tips. She sends me photos of her campus. We're building something separate from the rest. My second year of medical school is harder than the first, the hours longer, the stakes higher. But I have friends now, real ones, people who show up when I need them. Dr. Reyes became more than an advisor. She's a mentor, sometimes a surrogate mother figure. She came to my white coat ceremony last month, sat in the front row and cheered when they called my name. My parents weren't invited. Some people think I'm cruel for cutting them off. They're your parents, they say. Everyone makes mistakes. And they're right. Everyone does make mistakes. But some mistakes reveal who people are. When choosing you costs them something. When showing up isn't convenient or comfortable or camera ready. I removed them from my documents because I needed to stop living in the gap between who I hoped they'd be and who they actually were. I needed to build a life where my worth wasn't measured by their presence, but by my own. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just free. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of someone finally putting themselves first. If you've ever been chosen last by the people who should have chosen you first, this story is for you. If you've ever had to erase someone from your life to finally see yourself clearly, you're not alone. Here's the lesson. Your worth isn't determined by who shows up for you. It's determined by what you build when they don't. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop waiting for validation and start validating yourself. Remove people from positions they never earned. Set boundaries that protect your peace. Choose yourself. First, not as revenge, but as survival. Drop a comment below sharing your story. Have you ever had to remove someone from your life to move forward? How did you find the strength to choose yourself? Let's build a community of people who stopped waiting and started living. And if this story resonated with you, subscribe. Because every week we share stories about quiet strength, strategic boundaries, and the power of walking away from people who couldn't see your worth. Your absence from their life might be the wake-up call they need. But more importantly, your presence in your own life is the validation you deserve. Remember, you are not too much. You are not too little. You are not invisible. You were just surrounded by people who couldn't see past their own reflection. Now go build a life where you never have to prove you matter, because you already know you do. Hit subscribe, share your story, and choose yourself first, always.